going. Hi, my pride and joy, of course, pride of lions. Thank you for coming to Roaring Like Lions Live. Today, it is my pleasure to present Gordon Melville. And just to give you a little bio on Gordon, he says, excuse me, I'm still fighting allergies. I'm a best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Jewil International, and a keynote speaker teaching entrepreneurial men to navigate mental awareness and health in a world of judgment and toxic masculinity. He's worked with the likes of Grant Cardone, Zig Ziglar, and is a certified through Tony Robbins, how do I say that?
Madanas.
Developing my own coaching specialization. When Gordon is not writing, podcasting, or coaching, he can be found focusing on his own spiritual health, along with his wife of 30 years, and 3 young sons. Awesome. So we had a little conversation before we connected here to Facebook, and we're talking about hugs and the energy with hugs. And absolutely. Gordon actually teaches how to hug the correct way. So take that part away, Gordon.
Yeah, no problem. You know what? Any hug is a great hug. And thank you, by the way, for having me here. I really, really appreciate the time and the opportunity. So thank you so much. Hugging is a way, and I think because of COVID and some other things, people have sort of stepped away from that personal contact. And when you hug somebody, typically, like I said, any hug is better than no hug. So that's a base. But then being able to hug in such a way that you're giving, understanding how energy works. And so when you hug somebody, if you watch people hug or see them in movies or whatever, you watch them hug, typically they'll take their head to your left, right? That's typically the way we hug. I think it's because that's the way we handshake. But if you take your head the other way, so if I lean my head to your right, yeah, right. Hug you that way, we're now heart over top of heart, in which case the energy flows between the two of us. And so if you understand how energy works, you'll know that's what's happening and you'll feel that. But if you have no idea about energy, or you're not connected to that, you're not sure how that works, not aware of that, what people tend to do is I hug them, and then you can feel their body relax, like they're going to let go. And I just don't let go, because there's scientifically provable medical healing properties when you hold and hug for more than 20 seconds. So I hold on to them, and I can't tell you the number of people that will say in my ear as I'm holding on, when they realize I'm not letting go right away, they're like, oh, a real hug. And doesn't matter, men, women, children, they all sort of say the same thing. And so I'll hug them and you just hold them, and you can feel that energy transfer. And once you separate, people that are not aware of the energy thing, they look at me and go, that was like the best hug. And they don't understand why it was an amazing hug. They just know that was like the best hug I've had in a long time, or it reminds them of a parent or a grandparent or somebody that really held on to them tight. So leaving that lasting piece is always a big deal for me.
That's awesome. Because with my grandkids, they don't live close to us, so we don't see them that much. So when I get them, I just really hold
Absolutely.
them. Grandma, too tight, and I just hold them. Like, why you squeeze so hard? And I says, because I want you to remember my hug when I leave, so you always have it.
Absolutely.
So I would like everybody to do an exercise this morning. So get my in the camera here. Take your right hand, put it on your left shoulder. Take your left hand, put it on your right shoulder. It'll squeeze. Give yourself a hug this morning. We don't get enough hugs, I think.
Absolutely. Got to have more hugs.
Okay, so let's talk about what you do. What is it that, besides teaching people how to hug, which I love, what else do you do, Gordon?
So I'm a high performance coach. So most of my clients were professional athletes. And they already run at a high level of discipline and a high level of accountability. But we all need, it comes back for me to mindset. And for them, it came back to mindset. And how does that work? And how does that affect what they're doing? Right. I think a lot of times what's happening in life is that we don't understand or are not aware as humans the power of our mind in the sense of how that affects all the things around us. And so, we'll do this thing where we wake up late in the morning and we're, oh man, I'm late. And you hit the alarm clock. And as you get up, you stub your toe on the dresser, and then you put your toothpaste on your toothbrush and it flops all over the sink. And then you spill your coffee on yourself and you hit every red light on the way to work. And so it's just what we don't understand is that we have the power to stop that from happening. We have the power. What's happening is that's a negative thing we're putting out. As soon as the alarm clock goes off and we know we're late, we're putting out a negative thing from our mind that says, oh crap, I'm behind the 8 ball. And this negative thing goes out, and that's what continues that energy, negative flows. And so then we stub our toe. And in sports, when I'm talking to whole teams of athletes, I'm like, you understand when somebody misses a free throw, you can run by them and smack them on the butt and go, don't worry, we'll get it next time. But in your head, you're thinking, damn, we needed those points. Like, we really needed those. That's the part that's affecting what's happening. And then you notice the next thing that happens, somebody misses a pass, and then somebody kicks a ball, and then so it just snowballs. So being able to hold on to that and go, no, wait. So I have written on my bedroom wall, right at the top, in chalk. I put, my wife freaked out, but I put chalkboard and paint on the wall. And then I just walk up to it and write. So it says stimulus, pause in big letters, respond. And so the power's in the pause. The power's in you be able to, right? So you've got a bunch of cats behind you, big cats, love. I've got a tattoo of a big tiger on my hip, love big cats. But if I step on a cat's tail, if that's the stimulus, there is no pause and there is no response. What there is a reaction.
Yes.
Without thought, emotional. And I think a lot of times what's happening is, as humans, we get into that space and we react out of emotion to the stimulus that happens around us. And it gets us into trouble because we say things and do things that are in the moment without putting a little bit of time and space to it. So that, and it doesn't have to be a long time. It could be a few seconds, but just long enough to hold on to that. I'm an emotional human. And so I try and teach guys to understand, specifically entrepreneurial men, because that's what I am. And I think guys tend to do a thing. I don't think we do. I know we do. We put our emotions in a box because we were taught not to look weak. Don't cry. Don't show emotion. And so we put it in a box. We put it on a shelf. And then the problem is we still have pain from that. So then we drink, or we do drugs, or we gamble. Now I have a vice on top of the problem because it didn't take the problem away. Right. So teaching guys how to have some emotional intelligence and how to deal with regular basic emotional stuff, whether it's stress and anxiety or depression, or it doesn't have to be full-blown schizophrenia and depression and suicide and PTSD and all these really heavy things. Papa gifted me a few years ago with an experience. I don't know if you can see that. It's a semicolon, but I tend to be heart-centric. So I used a heart instead of the black dot. But a semicolon is the international sign for suicide survivor. And so when we write as an author, we write a thought, and then we put a period, and then we go, no, wait, I got some more to say. So we use a semicolon, we continue to write. So I could have put a period in my life and I didn't. And Papa saved me twice in my life, once on the cross and then once in my bathroom a few years ago. And so, but being able to have them understand, you know what, it gives me a perspective that a lot of people don't have, thankfully, but a lot of people are getting at the moment. And guys tend to do a thing where we push it away and we hold it down. And once we hold that dis-ease in our body, it makes us sick, right? We right. So the concept is to give them my workshop. One of the workshops, Box Inside Out, isn't outside the box thinking. It's eradicate the box. Just teach them some ways to deal with regular stress and anxiety that without the vices and without anything else. There's some positive ways to deal with some of those things so that they don't end up on the other end of that scale, right?
Right. Wow, that is really powerful in itself. I have a family member who has PTSD, and hearing the way you're talking about that, it's like, what a great way to approach it, and to acknowledge that it's there, but it doesn't have to run your life. It doesn't have to be the part that you focus on. It doesn't have to keep coming and attacking you.
Right.
And that's where the real power in the pause. I love that power in the pause.
And we're the only, humans are the only people that can do that, or the only living thing that can do that. Animals don't have the ability to pause. They just react, right? So the problem is, I think sometimes, a lot of times, we abdicate our power, right? We don't understand. I say to people anymore, lots of people say, have a nice day. And I don't say have a nice day anymore. I say, make it a great day, because what I'm trying to do is empower them to understand you can make your day whatever you want it to be. And what your day has been up to this point doesn't have to match. The rest of your day doesn't have to be what it has been, right? So if you're having a crappy day or a negative type day, you know what? You can choose. I'm a big choose guy, right? Choice is all about choice. We are where we are in our lives based on the decisions and choices we've made, good, bad, or otherwise, up to this point. And a lot of people go, no, 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 it's that person. It's that person. No, 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 no. It's extreme ownership that I'm in the position I'm in specifically because of the choices that I made. And right, people, oh no, I have to be at this job because I got bills to pay. And I'm like, that's weak, first of all. And secondly, what you're telling me is that you don't have enough faith or confidence in yourself to have the courage to step out and go, no, 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 no. I want to go after what I was meant to be here for, right? What was my purpose? Why am I here? And, oh no, I've got bills. Well, great. Then find something that you love to do outside, right? And step out, have the courage to step out and do that. Or don't complain about your job.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's your choice to be right there. Right.
Yeah. My husband's going in transition right now. He got hurt at work. He's declared disabled. He can't go back to that job, but he's looking at other avenues for himself. And he asked me what I thought. And this is not bragging on myself, saying, oh, I'm the best wife in the world. What I'm saying is, I said, this is your opportunity. Go do what you like. I don't care what it is. If you like it, you're going to be happy with it. We're going to have a happier life. And take the chance. Just go do what you love. You know,
exactly.
We've hit rock bottom before. We know where that's at. We know how to deal with it. It's not the end of the world. Just do what you love.
Absolutely. Bet on yourself, right? Like you're not betting on anybody else. I'm going to bet on me. And once you take that ownership and go, no, you know what? I can do that. If you can't bet on yourself, and I think that's where the challenge is for a lot of people, right? Because they, less than 3% of the population does any kind of personal development. Less than 3%. And if you couple that with the fact that, almost 90% or about 90% of college grads. So forget anybody that didn't go to college or didn't finish high school or didn't, 90% of college grads never pick up a book again the rest of their life.
Isn't that something?
It just freaks me out. Yeah. Zig Ziglar taught me when I was lucky and blessed to have run into him and, was connected to him, and he had said and taught me, Gord, you need to be reading 4 to 6 books a month. You need to be journaling every day, and you need to be going to conferences every year, multiple times. And so consequently, for 30 years, I've been reading 4 to 6 books a month. So I'm now over 2,000 business books. I'm certified in a whack of different modalities and under a bunch of different people, including Tony Robbins, including Napoleon Hill, but there's so many things. I've been journaling. It freaks people out. I'll go into a theater with my journal, and my friends are like, you're an idiot. You're going to go and sit in the dark for 2 hours. What are you bringing your journal for? And I'm like, well, you know what? You never know. I hear stuff and I think, oh, I'll remember that. And I don't remember it. So I write it down, right? And I never know where that inspiration is going to come from. So I always have. But for 30 years, I've been writing a personal, a business, a general, a gratitude, and a goals every day, 5 different journals for 30 years. And so being able to go back and look at that and see how I've grown over that period of time, right? Being able to look at, wow, 20 years ago, I can't believe I was dealing with that, right? Or that was a problem, or I was struggling. I don't understand. So, but something that Zig had said, and sorry if I talk too much, Zig had said, asked me to commit to writing in those books, in those journals every day for the rest of my life. He asked me to commit to that. And I'm like, Zig, I don't know if I can do that. That's a big commitment. And he's like, well, let me give you a way to do it. And I think sometimes we get a thing in our head about what the expectation is going to be, What's the expectation, right? So if I'm writing in a journal, the expectation of the thought process says, well, I have to write a page or half a page or several pages every day. I can't do that in 5 different books. And he said, no. He said, some days you'll be able to sit down and write 5 or 6, 10 pages because it'll just flow out of you. And some days there'll be nothing there to write. So he said, say that. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, 1 sentence. I have nothing to add new today.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I can honestly say, no, I've written in 5 journals every day for 30 years, because sometimes there's a page, half a page, 5 pages. And some days there's 1 line that says, I don't have anything new to add today. Well, 5 sentences, I can do that. Right. So I think one thing I've learned in the last little while is taking away any expectation. I don't have any judgment anymore and no expectation. I lead with love. And I think Papa had the 2 greatest rules he said were love me and love everybody else, in that order, right? And I think if we could do that and then put the microphone down, there would be a lot more love in the world. It would be a completely different space, right? For me, the presentation doesn't matter anymore, right? Because if there's life, Papa's already there, because there is no life without Papa. I call God Papa because of my relationship, but there's no life without him.
Yeah.
Right. So that means if the person is alive, Papa's in them. Whether they live out of that or not is a completely different deal, but he's already there. Right. So that means the Papa in me is responding to the Papa in you. It doesn't matter how you show up, the gender, the ethnicity, the choice, none of that matters. If they're alive, Papa's right there. And so it's really shifted the lens I use when I'm talking to people, because if Papa loves them, who the heck am I to say, no, I can't love you because of this or that or the other thing, right? Papa loves them. So, and like I say, whether they acknowledge that or live out of that is a completely different deal, right? But he is there. I can say gravity is crap, it's not real. But if I step off a roof, it's going to affect me, So, and it's not really the fall that's the problem. It's the sudden stop at the end that causes the issues, right? But being able to live out of that, how do I plug into that, right? Having Prince Harry is a great example of that. So Prince Harry came to the U.S. with Meghan, right? He's abdicated his throne. He doesn't want to plug into that royalty anymore. And so, but the interesting part for me was, as an illustration, was, is there anything that Prince Harry can do, anything during his life, after his life? Is there anything Harry can do to change the fact that he was born to Prince Charles and Lady Diana, meaning he was born royalty? Right. There's nothing Harry can do, nothing, to change his birthright. Right. Papa is King of Kings. We're all his children. That makes you a princess and me a prince. And if we really, really believe that, I think we would understand what our worth is and what our value is to Papa. Right. And I think if we could really believe that and live out of that, it would monumentally shift our choices and our decisions, because we would know, hey, you know what? Papa says I have infinite value for no other reason than I am. Right. Exactly. And I can choose to plug into that. Prince Harry does not want to plug into that. So he's not living out of his birthright. Right. That's a choice that he makes. Right. But that's a choice we can make. Do we plug into Papa, or do we go, no, I don't believe that is real, or I don't want to, or however we, right? Our pastor used to say people will live out of who they believe Papa is. And I didn't understand that at the time, but the more I'm growing and learning, I'm like, nope, that makes sense to me. Even an atheist is going, no, there is no Papa. That means there's nothing after I die. They're going to make choices and decisions a certain way about how they live.
Absolutely.
Right? If they think Papa's up there waiting for them to step out of line so that he can slap them, they're going to make decisions a certain way. Right. So it becomes a choice deal for me. It also becomes an energy deal, because that's Papa's energy flowing through us. That's not our energy. There is no life without him. So that means anything that's alive has him in it somehow, right? Or it wouldn't be alive. So it comes back to mindset for me. And I think the one thing I learned, or a bunch of what I learned, but the main piece of Napoleon Hill's work that really affected me was that to understand how my mind works and then master control of my own mind and my own emotion. It's not Pinky in the Brain, right? It's not world domination, understanding. The only two things I can control in my life, and I think it's the same for everybody, is what they think and what they do.
Yes.
Right? Anybody that has children can tell you instantly, yeah, control is an illusion. There's nothing, right? There's no control, right?
Right.
So I can only control me. And a lot of people, again, they abdicate that and go, no, I don't want to control me. I'm not going to put the time and energy into learning how my mind works, learning how powerful that can be, and then mastering control of it. Because I say to my boys all the time, who is the scarier villain? The one that waves their arms and screams and yells and whatever, or the one that's very quiet and just sort of looks at you and then cocks their head and smiles? And they're one, yeah, that's the one that scares me. I'm like, why? Well, I don't know what they're thinking. I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
They're controlling their emotion. They understand how it works and they're controlling it. Hannibal Lecter was an amazing villain. Why? Because he controlled his emotion to a point where he didn't respond the way, or react even the way normal people do, right? He just had so much control. And I think if we understand, that's where a lot of the power comes in. A lot of power comes in the sense that we're all trying to live abundantly, right?
Mhm.
Papa wants us to live abundantly. And unfortunately, and I was taught the same thing as a paradigm growing up, that you couldn't be spiritual and wealthy, which I think is neurotic, right? And I learned that from watching people in the church look down at the one gentleman in particular was very, very wealthy, but they looked at him and said, there's no way you are either spiritual, and there's no way you have that much money if you hadn't stepped on somebody, or, you did something that wasn't morally correct. And so it sort of put that paradigm into me that I had to choose. I'm either spiritual and not religious. I'm not a religious guy. I don't like religion. I think religion is man's finite brain trying to understand an infinite Papa, and it just doesn't work. So, but yeah, I had to choose spiritual or wealthy. I couldn't have both. And so that paradigm drives what happened to me for a long time. I had lots of big success, but I didn't have wealth success, right? I didn't have that on that side. And I think as we talk and as we go through our life, the things that we believe become our autopilot, right? It sits in our subconscious and it drives who we are. And it's wildly more powerful than we understand. I can stand in the mirror and look and go, you know what? I want to release 20 pounds or 30 pounds. And so I work at that. I eat salad. I work out all the time, blah, blah, blah. I lose. I don't like the word lose because it means it was the ownership. I don't want to own that weight. I want to release that weight. So I release 20 pounds. And if I don't change my mindset or what my paradigm is about who I am, no matter if I continue to exercise and eat salad, I'm going to gain that weight back on, right? Because my subconscious says, no, that's not who we are. This is who we are. And it's that powerful. And we don't understand that it's that powerful, right? We don't understand that we can control the bulk of what our mind, like the thoughts come in, right? Sometimes that's controllable, sometimes that's not controllable. But as soon as the thought comes in, to be able to catch it and go, no, that's negative, right? That's not from love, that's from fear. That's lack thinking. And that we don't make good decisions out of fear and lack. Fear is an emotion that's a piece that we generate on our own. It's an emotion that it's manufactured, right? It's not real. Danger is real, but fear is not real, right?
Right.
But fear stops most people from having what they want, going and doing what they want. Why? Because they're afraid. The weirdest thing, I've jumped out of a perfectly good plane that was going to land anyway, 288 times.
I've done that.
And yeah, I love doing that. And I haven't done a long time. The last two jumps for me were halo jumps with the military in El Paso from 43,000 feet. It was amazing. It really was. But the most interesting thing happened. I watched people, they have done studies where they put a heart monitor on people that are in the class in the morning, right? And they as the class progresses and they get told what's going to happen, their heart rate goes up. And then they put their flight suit on if they're going to wear one, and their heart rate goes up. And then they walk out on the tarmac towards the plane and their heart rate's going up. And they get in the plane, and as it goes up, so does their heart rate goes up. The weirdest thing happens when they step out of the plane. You would expect their heart rate would skyrocket, and it doesn't. It drops.
Oh,
well, what's that? What's that about?
Yeah.
Right.
It's already happened. What they were afraid of. It's already
exactly.
Happened.
So what we did was rob ourselves of being present in the moment, being right here, right now. Why? Because I'm anxious about what's going to happen. And it's probably not going to. As a parent, your kids are waiting to come home from a date or whatever, being out. We're wired that way as humans. We're not thinking 1,000 positive things that could have happened on the evening. Our brains run in 1,000 different directions of all the bad things that could happen, right? We don't sit and think of positive things that could have happened, right? Because we let that emotion just sort of run away with itself. And so being able to be present, it's a gift to be present in the moment. That's why it's called present. It's a gift, right? So understanding, hey, stop thinking about other things outside. And a lot of times, 98% of what we're worried about and anxious about isn't going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it just robs us from being able to enjoy what's going on. Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're talking about mindset and there's a spectrum. Can you kind of explain mindset and spectrum and then see, do they combine together, or what are they?
They do. I believe I call it mental awareness. So under that mental awareness umbrella is mental health, mental illness, but there's so many other things that combine into that under that umbrella. And so I think if it doesn't have to be full-blown schizophrenia or PTSD or depression or suicide or all those things, it doesn't have to be on that extreme end. We're all on a mental awareness spectrum. So where we hold our mind, what our mindset is, and where we choose to put ourselves. The challenge is learning to deal with stuff. So it doesn't have to be extreme. Maybe it's just a little bit of stress and anxiety or depression because I didn't get the promotion at work, or because, I've got a project to do for school, or whatever it is, right? A little bit of stress and anxiety. But if I don't deal with that in a positive way, I am going to end up on the other end of that spectrum. Right.
Oh, wow.
So being able to have the tools, and you know what, in a bigger picture, the exclusivity that we hold as society right now, meaning when people look at people with mental awareness challenges that they don't understand, right? They'll put them in a box and label them because that's easier to deal with. But then they push it out there and go, you know what, they're messed up, but I'm okay. What they're doing is judging, which brings in a word stigma for me. So everybody says stop the stigma. And I don't like that word because I think it's a civilized, sanitized word that we're using so that we don't have to really admit what we're doing. And what we're doing is judging those people, right? If you take the word stigma out and put the word judgment in, it's more honest and it will read exactly the same way. Right. So I'm judging those people that are messed up. I'm okay. I'm better than them because I don't have to deal with that. Now, I may have to deal with a whole whack of my own issues, but I don't deal with that. As long as that judgment comes, people will choose suicide over asking for help because they don't want that judgment. They don't want the shame and embarrassment that comes with that. So it's exclusive. As soon as we realize, no, it's inclusive, meaning PTSD and suicide and depression is on the same spectrum as regular amounts, small amounts of stress and anxiety because of whatever. It's all on the same spectrum. As soon as it becomes inclusive, right, and I'm not afraid of it anymore, people will reach out and ask for help, in which case suicide rate goes down, which is where my heart is because that's my experience, right? And so trying to help guys understand, specifically women tend to have more emotional intelligence. So if I did this with a friend not long ago, I walked into a restaurant, we were sitting there eating, and I said, watch. And I walked to 3 different complete strangers, women in the room. And I went, hey, how you doing? I'm just doing a quick survey. How are you doing? And they're like, yeah, I'm okay. And then I got this going on, that going on. But they told me exactly what was happening in their life, right? Yeah. All 3 of them did. To a complete stranger, they told me, right? And I did the same thing with the guys. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing a quick survey. And what's going on? How are you doing? How are you feeling today? And they're like, oh, I'm good. Really? No. How are you doing? No, I'm good. Yeah. Okay. but the point is we just don't connect into that the way women do. So that becomes my mantra, and what I'm teaching is, hey, you know what? There are positive ways to deal with stress and anxiety so that it doesn't build up, right? So I'm giving guys, well, anybody really, but I specialize in men and high performance, so pro athlete type humans, but I'll do that with anybody that understands, hey, I need to find some positive methods to look after and to deal with regular emotion so that I don't have to out myself and it doesn't become a huge issue going down the road, right?
Great. Well, I see our time is almost up. These
Oh,
half hour is never enough.
wow.
So Gordon has offered the space for 2 one-on-one coaching clients. As a high performance coach is not a free offer, but he will provide a lightning discovery session for listeners if they let him know they heard him on here, Roaring Like Lions. And the best way to reach him is his email, jewil.coaching@gmail.com, and it's JEWIL. And that is in the Facebook information too, and I'll put it on the YouTube information. Perfect. And gosh, I'm not ready to let you go. Yeah, but thank you so much for being on here today, for talking with us, bringing up all these different things. I'm just, I'm thrilled to hear it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nella. You know what? It's a pleasure to be on. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, you definitely will have to come back. When you have time, I would love for you to come back. This is great.
My pleasure.
Thank you, my pride and joy. Find his information. I have links to his sites that are on the webpage right underneath of this video, and I'll be sure and put them in with the YouTube information too. And so we will see you later.
Absolutely. Make it a great day.
All right. Make it a great day too.
Thank you so much. Big hugs. Big hugs.
Big hugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.